good week. Guys, as you would expect, battled back from the disappointing week last week. We have to get to the game and do it in the game. They'll come back and they'll fight. I know those guys. They'll battle.
Come a-running, boys. Don't you hear the noise? Like the thunder in the sky. How it rolls along in a good old song from the sons of Nebraska. Now it's coming near with a rising cheer that'll sweep all foes away. So with all our vim, we're bound to win, and we're going to win today. In the days of old, Johnny Vanderbold would just take that ball in hand, and with Benedict right in front of him, they would set sail for the land. Then Doc Eager too, with a chosen few, would be all round everywhere. And before they'd quit, they would calmly sit down behind that goalpost there. For Nebraska and the Scarlet, for Nebraska and the Cream, though they go through many battles, our colors still are seen. And so in contest and in victory, we will wave them for the team. And we'll always stir a Cornhusker, the Scarlet and the Cream.
All right, what's up, everybody? Let's try this again. I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
There you go. Hopefully, you can hear us now this time around. Sorry about that, little technical difficulties, but I think we got it. So, anyways, what we would like to do now is talk about the Husker game yesterday. So, Jimmy, give me your
Yes.
thoughts.
So what I was saying was definitely feel better at this time than I did this time last week. Just because, still can't believe we lost by 49 points. But to lose by 4 points at Ohio State is it's pretty good, especially since years past that game's been blowout. I know a couple have been close, but especially after a week like that, and they were coming off a bye week. After losing 1 point to Oregon, I thought they were going to come out and just blow our doors off. To be fair, and they didn't. Defense played pretty well. We'll get to Satterfield.
We'll talk about the offense. Don't you worry, Casey and everyone else.
But
I think that's a hot topic.
No, I mean, we put ourselves in a position to win the game. We had every opportunity to win. A couple opportunities to win again, especially taking the lead in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Just same story we've seen 100 times in the last 10 years, and we couldn't finish.
But I think I think what was crazy about that is our defense really kept us in the game the entire time. Something they couldn't do last week. Something that they really didn't do much. They did a little bit in Illinois, but even Illinois was a struggle, and they kind of sliced and diced their defense in that game. So
I mean, aside from a couple big plays, a couple big long touchdowns, and then some.
Okay.
Oh, sweet.
Awesome. So we're going to have our special guest here. Sorry, we're going to talk to him about the game too, because being a former black shirt, we'd love to get him on. So we're going to get him on here and chat with him. So, hey, what's up, man? How we doing?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing, man?
Good.
Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, can you hear us all right?
Yeah, thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep, absolutely. Fantastic, man. Glad to have you on. So, obviously, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, all good. So, appreciate you coming on. I know this is kind of random, so we've never met you in person. We reached out to you on Instagram and said, hey, we'd love to have you on. And I'll introduce myself. I'm Matt. I'm the one that reached out to you on Instagram. And
I'm Jimmy, and we're cousins.
Yeah, and then we got Brian behind the scenes doing all the tech stuff that sent you the original email link. And so he's our cousin. So we're three cousins. We've been doing this as our 10th football season. So in 10 years, we've had one winning season, and that's when you were playing on a team in 2016. So why don't you go and introduce yourself for those that maybe don't remember you? It's been 7 years since you've been there. So why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little about who you are and what you did with Nebraska.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank y'all for doing this, man. Like, thank you for the coverage. I think anytime that, people that are from Nebraska and passionate about the game and do coverage is important. So I appreciate you guys first. And then I'm Kyron Williams, originally from Shreveport, Louisiana, and I was a part of the Nebraska team 2014, 2018. So yeah, that's me.
All right, fantastic. So, really, we've been making posts about you all week when it comes to kind of your history with Nebraska, and really your junior year was really your standout year. But your first year, you played with Bo Pelini and that staff, and then you switched to Mike Riley. So we have a bunch of guys on the team right now that were with Scott Frost and his team, and now they got Matt Rule. Tell us a little bit about that coaching change, and as a player, how does that impact you, and how does that change your mentality?
I mean, for me, originally coming and playing with Coach Bo, I think I had a unique experience because my uncle, Ronnie Prude, actually played with Bo down at LSU. And so for me, it was, coming and being a part of that defense and learning, the ins and outs so I could be prepared to go to the next level. And I think when Coach Riley came in, it was just a mentality shift of, okay, hey, this is not somebody that I have a close relationship with, but this is somebody I can hopefully build a relationship with. And we were able to do some cool things and some dope things, especially my junior year. I mean, being able to, do all the great things for myself on the field. But I think even as a team, I mean, going into Ohio State, we were number 8 in the country. Obviously that game didn't go how we wanted to, but we got to do some things that haven't been seen in a long time in Nebraska.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're big fans of Bo Pelini, and absolutely love him. We've talked to other guys that have played for him, like Brandon Kennedy's one of our guys. We usually get on at least once or twice a year, and so he's here in Omaha. So we've talked to him a lot, and he was a big Bo fan, and everyone we talked to loved Bo. I think you maybe are the first guy that we've talked to that's played for Mike Riley that I can remember. So you special teams was a big part of your career, your first couple of years. Looking at Nebraska's special teams now, what do you think they're doing well, and where do you see they might be able to improve a little bit?
I mean, I think anytime you can cover the ball and get the ball down and not have people having kicks ran back on you, I think that's good. I think where we can get better is, that punt return game, being dangerous in that, and then just being – I mean, I think we did a really good job kicking field goals. So that's something that I was worried about, like, coming into yesterday. But I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
I just think we could just be a little bit more dangerous on the punt return side and the kick return side. But I think every team in the United States wants to be good at that, So
well, you play with DeMornay Pearson-Ellis, so I mean, talk about a guy that can return kicks and dangerous
for sure.
Right. Yeah. So that was my roommate. He was actually my roommate my freshman year. So
nice.
I got to see that in 3D, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just being like, bro, like, how many touchdowns you scored today? Like being a guy like myself, like I was getting hyped to get tackles on special teams and block punts, and he's running back kicks, and we're roommates. So, I mean, you don't – guys like that just don't come every day, though, So I think recruiting is very important. And then, just when you do get those right guys in the building, keeping those guys in the building, especially in the day that we're in with NIL and stuff like that.
Well, I know that you were obviously a big part of special teams, but I remember you for all the interceptions that you had. Because that was, we were always talking, oh, man, he's just a pick machine. So do you have a favorite pick that you had? I mean, I know you took back the interception for a touchdown, I think, against Wyoming, but do you have a favorite?
Yeah. Probably my favorite. It's a little sentimental, not even a little, a lot of sentimental. So my great-grandmother actually passed the day that we played Purdue. And I had 2 interceptions that game, and I don't know if you guys remember, I dropped the third one. I dropped it in the end zone. I made the game way more dramatic than it needed to be. We could have just sealed it right there. But she had passed away that morning, and I didn't know. My family didn't tell me. And so just when I think back to playing in that game, grandma for sure was there in that game because that was crazy. So that was probably my favorite. So two of my favorites.
She didn't want your head to get too big with the third interception. So
right. That's what it was. Because she knew if I did the hat trick, I would have been asking for NIL money before NIL.
That's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. So you mentioned NIL. So man, the landscape of college football is so different now with the transfer portal, with NIL. Hey, give us just some of your thoughts. Do you think this is a sustainable way to continue college football? How's that changing the game, and do you think it's good for the game?
Yeah. I think it's great for the game, man. I think when you look at the dynamics of sports and business, right? you have $1 billion industry where the players that are involved need to find a way to be compensated. And I think the best way that they're doing it right now is leaving it up to the collectives and leaving it up to the college to say, hey, how much money do we want to spend here? How much money do we want to allot towards these players and the teams? And so I think when you look at it, it actually fast forwards everything. So now high school is more like how college used to be. Middle school is more like what high school used to be. And now college is stepping into that pro realm, especially with you see what things like are happening at UNLV. If a guy is guaranteed money and it's not being compensated, well, now there's a business aspect that comes into college sports. But I think when you look at it, it's $1 billion industry. It should have been being treated like a business, but now I think its hands is being forced to be treated like a business. So
yeah, again, different point of view from someone who played the game. I mean, we got an outside perspective as fans, and so to hear from the players that played and weren't compensated, to understand the business side of it. Obviously, you're putting your bodies on the line every day, so it's a different it's a job when you're in college. Just now it's different because you actually need to be compensated for what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I think when you look at a guy like a Melvin Gordon, right, like, and I got a chance to see that in person. I wasn't on the field, but the dude ran for like 489 yards in 3 quarters. Like his playing potential, what if that was his peak? And what if he could have been paid for his peak performance where he was at, right? Because then when he got to the league, I think it was maybe 3-4 really good years and then fizzled out, right? So, like, I just think it's about compensating those guys when they're at their peak, I think that's important.
Yeah, especially a position like a running back, because those guys don't last very long in the league, So
yeah, when you're 30 years old, they're like, "Oh, this guy's old." I'm like, "Shoot, he's old." I'm all right.
Well,
right.
Draft new guys.
Right.
In,
so.
So again, we look at NIL, and everyone's talked about Ohio State, their $20 million roster that they put together, and I'm not sure what Nebraska, how we compare as far as money, but the game yesterday. Did you get a chance to watch the whole game yesterday?
Yeah, I got a chance to watch it. I mean, bro, I think what people thought was going to happen and what actually happened, we got to be, I'm not going to say happy with how that game turned out, but we got to be able to see a future and say, okay, we can get over this hump, because that didn't look like Indiana. And that's how a lot of people probably thought it was going to look like, especially being at Ohio State. Like, a lot of people thought we were going to get steamrolled. So for us to, leave out of there and not get blown out of the water, but it'd be a close game and we fight all the way to the end, and it comes down to our second string kicker making a lot of points for us. I think if we get 2 scores in the red zone, we win that game. And now people are drinking the Kool-Aid again,
Yeah. The roulette. We got roulette.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think, again, you played with some dogs too. I'm looking back at the rosters, the guys you played with, holy cow. Like, talk about some NFL talent and just absolute ball hawks on your team. You look at the defense now. Who do you like on the who's your number one dog on the defense now? And do you have any? Have you had conversations with any of the team or any of the guys on the team in recent years?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think it starts up front. I mean, when you even think about the teams that have done it for a long time, when you look at like the Nick Saban, right? Like, how did he build Alabama? He built that thing at the up front. When you look at 9-0, those dudes are balling and they starting it up front. You know what I mean? I think that game yesterday, like, there was a reason Ohio State couldn't run that ball. You know what I'm saying? So, like, to me, those 2 dudes are the 2 that stand out, and everything else just is formed around them. I think we have great playmakers all around those guys, but it starts up front with those 2 dudes, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely agree. I mean, those 2 guys have been great for a number of years. Hopefully we have somebody to kind of fill those roles once they're gone.
We lead the Big Ten in sacks, and I think interceptions, we got to be up there. We got, I think Hartzog got 4th yesterday or something, 4th or 5th. I mean,
he's balling. Yeah, I love his game, man. I love his game. I think his game translates to the NFL now. I think he can play that slot corner. He can play outside. You know what I mean? He could slide back and play safety like a Tyrann Mathieu. I think that dude, he can do it all. He can do all the things.
Absolutely. And I think you look at a guy like Sierra Wright, who came in for Tommy Hill after Tommy Hill got injured. And unfortunately, Tommy's not back yet, but Wright came in as a backup, and now he's really balled out, and he's having a hell of a good year. What do you think of him and like MJ Sherman? I mean, Singleton. I mean, we got guys on this defense that, again, after last week, that mentality of getting your butt whooped, and then going into a game where, again, you're going to the number 4 team in the country on the road. What did you really like from the defense and what they did yesterday to really slow down that Ohio State offense?
I mean, I like the fact that we forced them to throw the ball deep. I think a lot of the times when they were getting in those condensed formations, and like I was watching TV copy, but the guy was like, number 4 Smith, he hadn't gone deep all game. Well, for us, it's like once we get to that 40-yard line, that's I think where I would like to see our defense jump up and know, okay, hey, this is shot territory. They haven't thrown it deep to 4 all game. This is a good opportunity for us to play some too high defense and make some plays on those balls. But I mean, I think outside of that, like I still say, and I hate to go back to offense. I know we're talking about defense, but if we score 2 touchdowns, bro, like it's a completely different conversation. You know what I mean? So I love what those guys did yesterday. I like how we forced them to throw the ball deep. They couldn't run the ball at all, and it was the exact opposite, I'm sure, of what 90% of the United States thought it was going to be yesterday.
For sure. So, have you been back to campus since you graduated and everything? And if so, what's have you met Rule? What's your impression? How do you think things are going and going to progress in the future here?
Yeah, I got a chance to meet him earlier this year. So I actually moved down. I don't live in Nebraska anymore. I moved down to Houston this past summer. But early in the spring, I was able to go meet Rule and those guys, and they have a great staff over there. I think where we can get better is just like how he was saying yesterday. Most people, when that losing shit starts, they start to look left and right. I'm sorry, I don't know if we.
Oh, you're good. You're good too.
Where that losing stuff starts is when something goes wrong and everybody's like, oh, here we go again. I think we just have to continue to try to train that mentality and change that mentality wherever it is. Like, because you never know. It could be the camera dude. Like, the camera dude could be the cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never know. And it's just like, who is that person in here who doesn't really believe that this shit is going to happen? I think when you look at a guy like a Coach Bo, it's a reason why he said, nobody outside of this room is your friend. If you think these people are your friends, you're highly mistaken, because these are going to be the same people that turn against you. So I think it's having that mentality and understand, like, hey, we all we got. And when we go out here, we all we got. When we come back, we all we got. And so I love what those guys are doing. I think Coach Rule he's changing it. You can see it's changing. You can because me personally, what I saw from Frost's staff was like, we get beat by 56, and then the next week we go in Ohio State, number 4 in the country. That's probably like 35 at least hung on us, if not 35-3, 35-7. And that's no shots at them. I'm just talking about mentality. I'm talking about what's happening outside of who's just the head coach. Because there's a lot of different positions in that building outside of just the head coach. There's 50 other positions that are in there that are vital to winning. You know what I mean? So, but I love what those guys are doing, man. I think they're on the right track.
Our buddy Ross says cursing is encouraged, so and it does happen.
It does happen all the time.
No, I can tell you, we're unscripted. We're on that. We don't even edit our stuff. So what we're doing is exactly what gets posted online. But I think you made a good point. You talk about the culture of a team, and you went from a Bo Pelini winning culture. Yeah, we didn't win a lot of big games with Bo Pelini's staff, but we were 9-3, 10-2. I think the last season that you were there, I think we were at 6-7 because we won the bowl game. We lost to USC in the bowl game that year. You had a couple blocked kicks in that game.
Yeah, for sure.
But you talk about that culture of change, and that's got to be tough, because then Riley started off with a losing record, then have a really good season, then went another losing record. How did that culture change from his second year to his third year? How did that mindset change on the team, and was it a culture shift? Like what happened from that second to third year that was the big turn of events?
I think for us, it was a chance to actually be in a defense for more than 1 year. Actually get some cohesiveness to where we're not on the fly during the game trying to communicate a brand new fucking defense that we've never ran before. Like, I think just being able to be in some situations, play good on good, go against Tommy and Jay West and Brandon Riley and Zoe and those guys, and us really be able to go good on good and run all of our different defenses. They give us different looks and see that shit for 2 years straight. And then now when we come into that second year, we're playing Oregon and it's going down to the wire. We're not nervous. we've played these defenses before. We're not out here thinking. We're just playing ball. So I think that was the big jump for us. And I would have loved to see us keep our defensive coordinator. I would love us to see us keep Banker that senior year because there's no telling what we would have done. Like, I mean, I was second in Big Ten in interceptions and,
18th nationally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we there's no telling how that story is written. So I just think these guys are seeing the same thing from Rule, and those guys are getting a second year to be in this defense, a second year to be in this offense. Or, I mean, Dylan, he's coming in as a freshman, but some of those other guys, they're getting time to learn the offense. You know what I mean? So I think it'd be fine. I think it'd work out fine.
Speaking of that Oregon game, you had a pretty big pass breakup at the end there, didn't you?
Yeah. I wish I could have got my hands on him, bro. But like I said, maybe that was Granny. Like, nah.
That was sweet. We talked about that for a while. I remember.
Wasn't that like it was really early in the season? We played the first or second game of the year. Like we played them really early, didn't we?
Yeah. So that might have been like the third game of the season because I think the first game I started was Fresno, and then I think the next game was Oregon. So yeah, man, like just being able to be on the field with dudes like a Nate Gary, you know what I mean, like a dude who's been there before. He's played in some big games in big, you know what I mean, in big times. Like he's like, look, we working together, and so I think that was a big part of it too. Having dudes back there that's been there before.
Yeah, and Nate Gary played with Luke Gifford. You got Newbie on the field. You just again the guys on the roster, man. You play with some ballers. That'd be really cool again. And you got your roommate.
We have talked to Brandon Riley too. He's a good dude. He's a friend. Yeah.
Very cool. So I think again going back to the Ohio State game yesterday, as a defender and previous black shirt. We have our defense that's playing really balls out yesterday, and our offense, did okay, but then they struggle in the red zone. Is it hard as a defender? Not hard to go keep playing and balling out, but what's that mindset, and what conversations are going on between offense and defensive, if any? Say like, hey man, like you guys got to score. We're doing our job. Like let's go. Like not in a condescending way, but like, do those conversations happen at all?
We did, and I hate to like put it like it's war, but we're the fucking Navy SEALs. We going out there. How many ever times we got to go out here? How many ever times we got to make sure they don't score? If we got to score, that's what we got to do. So I think as your team develops, that shit happens when you're doing mat drills at 5 a.m. in the middle of the summer. You don't build that during the season. You build that in the off season when you don't feel like getting up and it's 4:30 in the morning and it's 47 degrees in Nebraska. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you build that mentality when you go and get on the field. You know what I mean? So I think you're seeing it from those dudes. And I mean, I think they did a great job. Like I said, I think we had some deep balls that happened in the first half, but I don't think the second half we had as many of those. So that's showing that, okay, hey, we're learning, we're developing, we're taking what we learned in the first half and taking it to the second half. You know what I mean? So, we the first responders, bro. It ain't no – because we when Tommy was there, they ran option. We ran some option. You know what I'm saying? Even with the option, everybody who's ever played option, especially in 8-man football in Nebraska, can tell you one thing: there's going to be fumbles. That just happens in option football. It's a part of the game. You know what I mean? So it's like, who am I to complain? That's how the good defenses see it is. Okay, well, this is my time to get a strip fumble, an interception, or get me some more stats. You know,
it's more about you and you guys rather than you versus the offense. Say, hey, we're a team, and just because they didn't score doesn't mean we don't have to go do our
Let's
job.
get the ball back. You know, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny. I called it too, right when we got them down to the 10-yard line or something. We had a really good special teams play where we got them down inside the 20. And I was like, man, this would be a really good time for a turnover. That'd be really nice. I actually posted it on Facebook. Said, man, like great play. We got to get a turnover. Hartzog, next play, interception.
I wanted to take it to the house because I was like, points are not guaranteed here. We didn't get none there, but
right. Yeah, man. I think that's that first responder mentality, bro. It's like as long as we got a yard to defend, we got a yard to defend. If we, you know what I mean, we on that 1 yard line, that's what we got to defend, you know?
Yeah, we had a great goal line stop yesterday too, a fourth down stop yesterday. That was really helpful for our D. We did get a question from one of our followers here, Donnie. He asked, do the guys now or even guys after you left, do they reach out to former players? Do they have is there an outlet within the program to say, hey, here's some guys you can reach out to talk to that played your position? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. I think it just happens naturally. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's, you know, in the world that we have with social media, a lot of younger dudes will hit us up and reach out. And I mean, when I was living there, when I was living in the city, I'd be back and forth around the stadium and seeing guys. Like I hung out a lot of times and trained with like Thomas Fidoni and Danny Kalen and Davon Hall and those guys. And so, yeah, I think when you are part of Nebraska and you're a black shirt and things like that, like you're always welcome. Like I've never felt, you know, not welcome. So, and I think that is like kind of the cheat code to going to a Nebraska. It's a different vibe. It's a different like mentality. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's cool.
That's awesome.
So I know we talked about defense a lot. We've talked a little bit about offense. So looking back at the game yesterday, we have a lot of negative thoughts about some of our play calling. Again, we're fans, so we see a lot of these screen passes,
A lot of screens.
swing passes.
Right.
The thing I don't like about those, and we've talked about it before, is they're not working, but we keep doing them. What are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you see our offense? You know, we move the ball, and then we struggle in the red zone. But then we have a chance to go down and win the game. We do a couple screen passes, we do a wide receiver screen or wide receiver swing pass, and it's not working, but we keep doing it. And I think that's really frustrating. What do you see? Is that frustrating to you too?
I mean, to me, I try to see it through the lens of if that's what we practice during the week, then we don't want to come out here and bake a new cake. If we've been making peanut butter cookies Monday through Friday, and then we come out here and you ask for Oreo cookies, it's like, well, bro, I've been making peanut butter Monday through Friday, you know? So it's like, I think, you know, if that's what we've been doing, now maybe that means we change what we're doing Monday through Friday in our preparation for the next week. You know, I think college football is one of those things. There's a reason that it's 12 weeks. You know, you're not all the way a developed finished product by week 6, week 7. You know, you might not be a finished product till you hit week 9, 10, and you really rolling, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think we can take some shots down the field, but we have to have the protection to do that. Do we have the protection to do a 5-step drop back and be able to read the defense, you know? Do we have that? Do we have the tools to do the things that the fans want to see? Because I mean, I'm sure the coaches want to see it too, but they also know what's under the hood. You know, you know, you can't make a Honda be a Maserati. You know, if you got a Honda, you gotta be a Honda. You know.
No, I like the way you put that because you know, obviously, a lot of fans were frustrated with all the screen passes.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you know. You try to run the ball. Maybe we're not running the ball that well. I thought we actually ran the ball better than I expected yesterday.
Second half, for sure.
I don't know why we didn't, continue to do that. But I do like your perspective of, if that's the way you guys planned on it. Obviously, they must have watched plenty of film over Ohio State for the last few weeks to see that there was something there. But our wide receiver blocking is not stellar. So.
And I think especially on the blocking side that you bring that up, I think that's a mentality thing. That's a mentality thing because when you're blocking another grown man, there's a mentality there that has nothing to do with athleticism and everything about want to. So I think there was a lot of times that if we could have had a block on the outside a little bit longer, maybe Barney could have sprung it. You know what I'm saying? But that's about mentality. And I think Rule knows that and he sees that. And he's trying to figure out how to trigger that in some guys because every guy isn't triggered. And I know it's going to sound crazy. Everybody's not triggered by NIL money. Everybody's not triggered by – some dudes are triggered by social media posts in the days that we live in. Maybe you need to shout that dude out on Instagram or so. And I know that's crazy to say, but, like, certain things trigger certain dudes. Like, some dudes you need to yell at them. Some dudes you need to coddle them. You know what I'm saying? Like, certain things make certain dudes go. So we just got to figure out what makes those dudes click and what are going to make them go. To what I've seen, because, I mean, I was around Coach Dub, Keith Williams, and, I mean, Coach Dub breeds dogs. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, the list goes on, right? You got to be able to breed dogs if that's what you want,
Yeah,
100%. That's what we need.
Yeah. We do have a couple more questions. You mentioned social media, and we asked this question to Brandon Kinney too, because when Brandon Kinney was there, he was maybe 5 years after Facebook really took off.
And Twitter came out.
Yeah, Twitter. And so now you were kind of in the heart of it where now it's big. Social media, Twitter's big. Now you got Instagram. You got all these things coming out. When you played, what kind of pressure, this is from Joel, by the way, how much pressure do you feel from fans and from social media? And then you said, do you ever hear the good stuff from the fans and social media? So How did that impact you as a player or did it?
Well, as a player, I would say you hear it regardless if you want to or not, because as a player, you want to hear the good, right? And then once you have a bad game, you're still gonna go click on that same app that you clicked on to hear the good stuff. So for me personally, I would always try my best to filter out who's good, who's being good for me, and who's actually rooting me on. You know what I mean? Like if I had some of my mentors, like a Tony Veland reach out, or Tony Veland's his feedback to me is going to mean more to me than the random guy who is just on his couch just talking crap, right?
Like us.
Right.
Two average
So
guys,
it's
right?
like-
Like us.
right. But I think I think you always gotta take it with a grain of salt, because you never Superman, but you never as trash either. You just got to be able to. And I think with young dudes, especially because a lot of those dudes aren't mature enough to understand, like there's some maturity that goes along with being in college football. There's a reason why you have freshmen and seniors, right? Like a freshman's not going to come in with that mature mentality of how to take social media and how to handle NIL. He's just not, because he's a 17, 18-year-old kid,
Yeah.
So,
Well, perfect example, cornerback Lamar Jackson. We kind of harped on him for the first couple of seasons. He was, a big time recruit, whatever, and he struggled. But eventually he got really good, and we talked a lot of good about him. So,
Well, and our I guess our trash talk was more like this: the guy's got the talent to
Right.
be really good, but we're not seeing it on the field. Like that's
Exactly.
frustrating. And then all of a sudden, he just like junior year, his senior year was an absolute stud, and then he goes pro, and like absolutely huge fan of Lamar Jackson. And so kind of same thing with Tommy Hill. Like, where are you gonna play, man? Offense, defense, and now he's hopefully he gets back on the field soon. But we try our best as fans to not be negative on kids that are, again, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, because we're damn near 40 now.
It's just,
but it's as you're our NFL team. Huskers are the NFL team for Nebraska, and
we just want to win and be good.
yeah.
So
So we try to spin it in a positive way as best we can, and try not to talk trash. More of like we see the potential, what's going on, and
Right. No, I think because you bring up Lamar, I mean, he's a good friend of mine. Like just Lamar specifically, like he's a guy that he has all the intangibles, but sometimes when you're on that field, you can have all the intangibles in the world, but if the game is moving fast for you, the game is moving fast for you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so for a guy like myself, like I wasn't the biggest, strongest, fastest, but the game moved slow for me at times, and I was able to make plays, So I mean, you're seeing it with, like you said, with Tommy right now. The game is moving slow for Tommy. He's out there. It's easy for him because he's seen it. He's been able to see it in spring ball, see it for a whole season, see it again for spring ball, see it for a whole season, and now it's like it's slow,
Yep, that's great. Yeah, again, it's hard as fans, and again, you're from Louisiana, right? And what was that like coming to Nebraska and having? Is that like? Did you ever feel like that fan pressure? Like, man, these fans are hardcore. Is that what you saw from like your LSU's, in your territory where you grew up?
Yeah.
What was that mentality, and what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you play in college football, bro, you're a part of the 1%. You know what I mean? Like, so there's going to be pressure there already. You're already trying to define the odds by making it to a college. You're defining the odds even more by starting, and then to go and then be the best in the sport in college football. I mean, it's like you're trying to be the 1% of the 1%. You know what I mean? So I think there's pressure there already, and then knowing that you have a fan base like in Nebraska behind you, I think it just adds that pressure. But it's like either pressure gonna bust pipes or it's gonna make diamonds. It's all about how are you built? What are you really about? Like, are you putting that time in the off season, or are you not? Because either way, it's gonna show. It's gonna show on Saturday or Sunday whenever you play.
All right.
that's a good point.
Well, we do have a couple more questions. We'll get to the football one first. Question. So this is from our buddy Ross, who said cursing is encouraged. What's the most frustrating thing or things you've seen this year? And then what are some things that surprised you so far this year?
I think I would say one of the most frustrating is probably like special teams. I wish I could see us, because I know what that can do to a game. I want to say like any anytime you have a big special teams play, it increases your chance of winning by 87%. So that's like a punt block or a kick return or a punt return. If we get 2 or 3 of those, where are we sitting at this season? So I would say that's probably the most frustrating. And I think the thing that surprised me is just like how cohesive our offense has looked with Dylan back there. I think we were off to a really good start those first couple of games, and then now we're kind of seeing a lull. But I mean, most dudes had that lull their whole sophomore year. This dude he had like a bad game or two, you might be able to say. But I think he's really surprised me with like how he's taking it. Like he don't look like he's down on himself. He looks like every time he's coming back out there trying to get better. He's not one of those dudes that's just like head down, and you know what I mean? So he's really surprised me this year, and I think how the offense is formed around him, I think it has been good.
Yeah, I can't imagine getting that coming as a freshman, but I mean, we got some other freshmen on this team that I think are surprising too, with Ja'Cory Barney, and then we got Carter Nelson. Man,
for sure.
Your thoughts on Ja'Cory, man? That guy is coming as a freshman. He's ridiculous.
Yeah. He's a dog, bro. He gives me Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill-ish vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a dude that he can do a lot of different things with his hands on the ball. I think if he does learn how to route run a little bit better, I think that could help just dropping his hips, getting out of breaks, because we need that right now. We don't have the offensive line to block for it. So we can't spend a lot of time in your breaks. You got to be able to, if it's a 10-yard dig, it's got to be a 10-yard dig right now, coming out, hands ready. You know what I mean? So I think those are the things, like development-wise, like we talked about, like, that we can see. If we can get those things developed, I mean, bro, who's going to be able to touch us if you got Thomas on one side, you got Barney on another side, you know what I mean? You got a guy like even a Malachi Coleman. I mean, I've been saying, I don't know how many years he's been there, but if we can get somebody in that receiver room to teach that guy how to run full speed, drop his hips, and come out of a break and make plays on the ball, he's going to be dangerous. But right now, he's only dangerous going forward. If we can make this guy dangerous coming back at a 45, running 90-degree angles, it's a whole different ball game.
100%.
Jalen Lloyd and stuff too.
Yeah, Jalen Lloyd, another guy. I think him and Malachi Coleman, again, Carter Nelson, Ja'Cory Barney. You get these guys in the groove with Raiola and growing up and growing in the game at Nebraska with Raiola. I think it's going to be dangerous. And to me, that's super exciting. Again, building for the future, not necessarily building for the now. I think we see some of those future pieces there, and it's going to be exciting to see how Dylan grows with those guys on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't mean to leave out Dylan. I mean, not Dylan, Jalen Lloyd. I mean, bro, Jalen is flies. Like, he actually trained out there with Ferrari. He trains with Steve Warren out there in Omaha. So I had a chance to be around him and see him train in the summertime. So like we have all the tools, man. It's just about, at the end of the day, we're playing a game where we're trying to be the 1% of the 1%. And then when you're trying to do that, it's the little things. It's the small things that make you the best team in the country. You know, like, it's not what most people think, like, oh, it's these huge ass ideologies and all that, bro. It's fucking running, dropping your hips, coming out and actually catching the ball. If you do that consistently, time over time, you're going to have a great completion percentage. You're going to win games. Like, it's not crazy stuff.
100%. Here, I'll let you ask Percival's question.
Okay,
we got kind of a funny question about game day.
All right, so Mike says, and this is a buddy of ours, so he said, all right, it's game day, you're at the stadium. Which food item are you going with? Fairberry hot dog, or are you getting that Valentino slice?
He didn't even say.
I'm getting that Valentino
slice. Runs in there too.
I'm probably getting that Valentino slice. I'm leaving the hot dog for my girl.
Valentino slice just hits different in the game. It's wild.
Yeah, it's different. It's just like, it comes out way hotter than when you go get it. It's like you almost might as well just wait and get one at the game.
For sure.
I don't have Valentinos outside of the Husker football.
I really don't. Hardly ever.
Right.
Never.
Right.
And so Donnie asked, would you agree that the foundation is set for the program moving forward? And we talked a little bit about that, but do you feel like that's where Rule is at now and moving forward in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Yeah, bro. I think we have a foundation set, especially if the program is really behind him and really for him. I think when I personally seen it for myself, like, we had a really good team with Bo, but the core of, like, our AD wasn't really behind him, and then I think we had a really good, like, sophomore junior season coming, or freshman sophomore junior season coming into Raleigh, but then, like, the backing for him kind of was like, oh, do we really believe in this, right? So I think where we are with Rule, everybody in there is believing, and whoever isn't believing, I'm sure after this year they're going to be out of there. And all the as far as the field goes, and I know how you guys are hearing me talk about it. I'm talking about like it's like the NFL, bro. Like where we are now, especially with guys getting paid, like it's not just about the guys on the field. It's about like your GM and your owner. You know what I'm saying? It's about who's forming the thing too. Like that's really important. So I think the foundation is there all around, and now it's just time for us to like start stepping into it. So
okay. Do you think that there's any personnel changes that he needs to make after this season?
I mean, we got to get some position coaches in there, man. I'm gonna just be real. Like, we got to get a receivers coach. We got to get a receivers coach. We got to get some motivators in there. We got to get some people that can because you need that person that's that fire drill of when shit goes wrong, let's run towards the fire. Let's not start looking at each other and whose fault is it? Is the quarterback's fault? Is it the O-line's fault? Is it no, this is what we're doing. This, you know what I mean? Like we came here to win and we just threw an interception. Who cares? Let's go get it. You know what I mean? So that's what I would like to see.
Okay. And it's kind of interesting. One thing we've talked about a couple times is that winning culture, and the fact that we haven't had a winning culture at Nebraska since 2016, or a winning season. Again, that culture of wanting to win is there, but not winning. When we have guys from this year that exit the program, I believe we're going to have a winning season this year. By the way, I think we beat UCLA. I think we win. I think we have a chance to win all four of our last games. But I think we win anywhere from 2 to 4. But I don't think we lose 4 games. I don't think that's going to happen. But we have guys that haven't had a winning season. How does that mindset change when you get guys out of the program that have never won or season as far as a winning record, and now you have guys that have, and that continues moving forward? How's that mindset change from a culture perspective?
I mean, I think the way. So you're saying how to change that culture? I think you got to do it in small steps. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to win in the off season. Like you got to make it to where, because I remember specifically like when we got there with Bo, it was important to be on the field with your shoes tied by 4:45, and that was a win. You start there because who else in the country is up at this time, let alone with their shoes on, standing on the line at 4:45? Like that's where it starts at. So I think if we can start with those small wins, it's going to teach dudes how to win. Like, because that's something that Bo used to say. Either I'm going to keep it. That was his thing. I'm going to keep it a spade a spade. Keep a spade a spade. Either you're a winner or you're a loser in this life. So if you're a winner, you're going to figure out how to win. If you're a loser, you're going to figure out how to lose. And it's my job to filter those dudes out as being a head coach. You know, it's just Rule's job to be able to filter out who's winners and who's losers and get more winners in the building than losers.
I understand. There's a lot going around about Kirby Smart, and this was a statement that he learned from Saban was tuck your shirt in. And he talks about guys. That's first. If you're not coming to the practice with your shirt tucked in, you better restart and reset. And we even talked about last week, and Damon Benning mentioned on the show last week after the first half of Indiana, Damon Benning and Greg Sharp were talking about coming out in the second half, you got to win something. You either have to stop the run or stop the pass. But right now, if you stop the run game and they beat you over the top, at least you're doing something right. You're winning something. He goes, and that's what they talk about, kind of small steps. And we're like, man, it's like getting up and making your bed in the morning. You wanted something already. You did something positive in the day, and you got to build upon that. So I think, again, shoes tied.
That keeps a positive mindset as well.
Yeah. I think there was another coach. There was another coach in D1. I'm trying to think who it was, but he talked about a kid not getting enough playing time because he never had his shoes tied. And he was dead serious. His shoes keep falling off because he's never had his shoes come untied all the time. It's like, well, damn, like you're not getting playing time because you can't keep your shoes tied? That's crazy.
Start
but that
is shoes.
Yeah, but that again, start tying your damn shoes. Like it's up here. That's crazy. Yeah.
And I mean, we're trying to grow men too, right? We're trying to make men who's going to take care of their children, men who are going to, be good citizens in our community. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you can't do the smallest shit right, if you're already going to school for free and you're making money and you can't be here at the time that we say and have your cleats on, like, okay, I'm just gonna go find somebody else. I'm sure there's somebody else who wants that $200,000 that you get in there and whatever else, and that uniform and all those things, So I think it's just about not wavering on who we are. Who are we? What do we believe in? If we believe in it, then let's stand on it and let's fucking win football games.
Hell yeah.
I really like that perspective.
Yeah. All right.
It's nice to hear somebody from inside, you know.
I'm gonna ask one more Nebraska question. Then I want to talk about just kind of what you're doing now, because I know you're pretty busy on social media, on Instagram. I see you post a lot, so I want to talk about that too. We got a little bit of time left, so Ross had one more question. He said, "Any good inside, like funny or really cool stories from your time at Nebraska?"
Some cool or funny stories. I would say.
And you can actually share.
I mean, you can share whatever you want.
I'm trying to see like what I can share that ain't gonna get nobody else in trouble.
There you go.
Gotta have your boys' backs too.
Right. Probably a cool story, man, was getting a chance to like meet dudes like Sue and Eric Crouch and like just getting their perspective on the game, bro. Because I just think that's like, especially when they being open to you and they just being real one-on-one with you, bro. Like that's a game that you can't pay for. You know what I'm saying? Like E. Crouch telling me about his experience on his Heisman run, you know what I'm saying? And like what it was like being able to chase his dreams of being in the NFL and our kind of like our paths being similar, you know, having to play outside leagues and shit, trying to get there, you know what I mean? Like doing what we trying to do to, you know, accomplish our dreams. Like that was pretty cool being able to, you know, meet dudes and be around dudes like that.
That's cool.
That's cool. And Sue had a Heisman run too. He should have won.
He should have won.
Right. Him too.
Yeah, Eric Crouch is good. We've had the opportunity to meet him and talk to him, and man, it's just some of these guys that we've met since we've been doing our show are just like you. I mean, just so down to earth and willing to just share, you know, experiences. And it's really cool for us because again, you're younger than us, and it's like, damn, like we. Same with Brandon Kinney, like, dude, you're one of like our favorite wide receivers. He goes, I was like, it's just again, you're our pro guy, so you know, we always enjoyed watching you. So it's great to have you on and get to talk to you. And again, it means a lot to us, and just be able to talk to former players and talking about kind of what you're doing now. So you've been out of Nebraska, what, 2017, 2018? So what you've been doing since then? What are you doing now? What's your life story? Share as much as you want.
Yeah. So I came out, went and worked out for a few teams, and instead of going and doing like P Squad, for me it worked out better to play in what was called the Alliance of American Football. And so there I got a chance to work and meet like some dudes that I looked up to my whole life, from Hans Ward to Troy Polamalu to Michael Vick. And that was a blessing. I mean, and get paid to play the game. And I mean, unfortunately, that season ended in like 8 weeks. And then so after that, the goal was to, you know, continue playing, signed to the CFL, went up to Edmonton for a while, then came back here, played in the USFL, and then I tore my labrum. So my goal has been to get back on the field and finish. I don't know if that's going to be back in the USFL or UFL now, or you know what that looks like, but that's my goal. And then outside of that, I also own a brand. It's called Bet on Yourself Clothing. I also own a company called Bet on Yourself Studios, where we do photo video work for like multiple businesses in the Omaha, Houston, Miami area. And yeah, man, I love working in the community too. Like community is pretty much like my goal of how I can make an impact outside of the game. You know, I think when you can just be around people that truly don't want anything from you outside of some help, you know, I think that is that's kind of where I find my fulfillment.
Yeah, I checked out your Bet on Yourself clothing, man. You got. I'm gonna have to get myself a shirt. I was looking at it, I'm like, damn, that's a sweet shirt. So I'll have to get one. But I appreciate what you're doing, man. I see you on your videos running all the time on Instagram and keeping yourself in shape, and you're looking good out there. So I appreciate what you do for the community, and being down in Houston in the sweaty part of the nation, as I call it.
Right. Right, we back in the sweaty part, man. I lived in Nebraska for 10 years, man. In Nebraska, one thing I can say, there's no place like Nebraska. Just the love there, the community there, how people show love and how people take care of each other. There's nothing like it. So I'm very appreciative for the 10 years I spent, in Lincoln and in Omaha.
All right, man.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Jimmy, you got anything else that you want to chat? We don't have any other questions right now, so anything else you want to share, or anything you have in mind? Jimmy, you got anything else?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. I seen the Satterfield question. I'm not one to throw coaches under the bus. I think he knows what we have in that room, and so I would like to see what the rest of the season looks like, and then I think we make a decision. But I'm not one to call for dudes' heads because I wouldn't want somebody to call for mine. So
Okay, fair. Hey, fair enough.
Yeah.
I like that perspective.
Yeah, I really wish you the best of luck if getting back on the field because we love watching you.
Yeah.
And
We
great person
got
to chat with as well.
we got Tommy Armstrong now playing for Omaha Beef, and they won 2 championships back to back in the Indoor Football League. He's a stud, and I know we actually were trying to get Corey Ross on the show, the guy that runs the Omaha Beef. He's trying to get us both Tommy and Corey, but we like to throw this out. We talk to Carricker all the time too throughout the year, but if there's anybody you think that might enjoy this, I mean, feel free to send a message on Instagram or email and say, hey, like, the more Pierce Snell might want to join the show. Like, to us, this is just fun. We try to reach out to players. We don't always get responses. So, again, getting a response back from you as quick as we did, again, just appreciate the love and appreciate you coming on the show today.
It's kind of why we started doing it, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate it, bro. To let y'all know, like, I'm also working on the platform myself, so I might be reaching out to you guys to get some advice. So I appreciate you guys for having me on. It's a blessing, bro.
If you're ever in the area, come have a beer with us.
There you go. We appreciate it, Kyron, and enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be in touch, man.
All right, man. Y'all have a good day.
All right, take care. Cheers. All right, so appreciate Kyron for joining the show. I mean, that was
awesome.
Again, Donnie, absolutely class act.
That guy's a freaking stud.
Ross, we've invited you on the show more than once. I don't know what's going on, but unless you're just going to be cursing the whole time, but really cool. I mean, Kyron's a good dude. Again, I just reached out to him on Instagram, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I'll join the show. Let's go."
Very good, very good insider perspective. Obviously, we talked to other people, but that was good. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it's weird because talk about the Satterfield question, and as a former player, he said, "Hey, again, kind of going back to if I'm saying, this guy shouldn't be starting, he sucks." It's like, well, would you want that as a player? You would want that as a coach? He probably has his own thoughts on the coach too, but again, he talks about playing with what you got.
And we even had our own opinions about his D coordinator that he talked about. That would have been interesting to see how that would have been for his senior year if he stayed, because I know his senior year he didn't start nearly as many games as he did.
He played 12 games, but didn't start. He started in one game.
So obviously, he probably had 2 or 3, defensive coordinators at his time. So it is interesting to kind of get that perspective. Maybe Dylan loves Satterfield.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I think he does, but maybe he does. I don't know.
Yeah. And again, like, maybe they're working on blocking in practice more than anything else.
Yeah, maybe they thought, man, these screens have really been working. The guys are blocking their asses off at practice, and
they're making peanut butter cookies and then go to make Oreos in the game. Again,
that's funny.
But I do think about that shift in the game. If you're used to doing so many things during the week in practice, and then you try to make a shift during the game, if you're not prepared for that, that's got to be hard, right?
Well, and it could go south really quick.
Yeah.
So maybe you do try to stay in your game plan. Do I think that 30 screen passes in a game is a good game plan? No, I do not.
Yeah.
And the first 15 times that it doesn't work, and you have a chance to win the football game on the last drive, you don't do that play.
Yeah.
You take a couple shots, or you run the football, or you throw the tight end up the middle.
Yeah.
To Fedoni,
tight end seam,
which we did how many times yesterday?
Yeah.
I mean, why don't I don't get it.
Man, I was so hoping for a wheel route with Corey Barney or Fedoni to go up. So unfortunately, Ray Johnson was hurt, so he didn't play. But you got guys that can run those wheel routes up the sideline. I was so hoping. I'm like, man, it is open. It is man coverage. Their defense, Ohio State's defensive backs, is actually one of their weaknesses on their team. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, it's usually not. But that's one of their
number
weaknesses.
65 on their O-line, but he never got called for a hold.
Well, then he got hurt, and so they had another guy to switch over to the left side, new guy on the right side. They never got first play of the game for them offensively was a hold on Jamari Butler. They didn't call. He had him wrapped around his head. But we can talk about refs all day because I think the refs did just a dog shit job like they always do. But
there needs to be some accountability.
There needs to, and it's the Big Ten. It is not just Nebraska. I posted on our Facebook yesterday. It's not because we're not just crying about it to cry about it. It is blatantly obvious that these calls are not getting called. The overturned pass reception that got overturned, which again, I don't think he caught the ball. I think it bounced. I agree with that.
Right.
But the fact that his whole shoulder pad's being pulled before he almost makes that amazing catch, you got to call that. And then you call a phantom offensive pass interference when neither guy, and even Klatt and Johnson, are like, dude, that was not a penalty.
They barely touched each other.
Yeah, it was a good defensive play. It was a good offensive play.
I know when they threw the flag, I was like, "Ooh, that really wasn't pass interference, but we'll take it."
Yeah.
And then it's on us, and I'm like, "He didn't even touch him."
Yeah.
Ryan Day should have gotten a 15-yard penalty, 100%, 100.
Dude, when you
percent.
Rule got it.
Rule got it like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, he didn't get a warning.
Was it the Purdue game?
Maybe when he slammed the headset.
Yeah.
And he got a 15. We didn't have a warning before that, but they get a sideline warning because everybody's off the sideline. It doesn't matter. Your coach showed up the ref by throwing his, and even after the game, there was analysts outside. They're like, he should have got another 15-yarder there.
Yep.
So we should have got not only the penalty for the targeting, but then the additional 15 we should have got. Well, it's crazy they called that. That play was interesting because I was like, all right, they're going to call it targeting, but a catch and a fumble with a recovery by Ohio State ball.
Well, and I thought
dead set.
I thought they would review it and say not targeting and a catch, fumble, Ohio State's ball. That was what I expected to happen.
There was multiple things they could have done there. They didn't do what I thought.
I was
they
shocked
do.
that it actually went our way for once. But then they didn't tack on the 15 for Ryan Day.
Exactly.
That really pissed me off.
I don't actually agree with the catch because I don't think he had it long enough. But again, in the NFL, that's probably not a catch. In slow-mo, yeah, it looked like a catch because it's slow motion. But in real time, did he have it long enough to make a football move after he caught the ball?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what they had called on the field.
Yeah.
Whether they called it a catch or not, because
I don't know what they called it.
Yeah, I don't know what they called.
I thought they called it a catch and fumble, but I don't know. It was weird. The whole thing was weird. But what I do know is we had every opportunity to win that game. And we're not about moral victories either. And the fact, and so many people comment like, "Oh, we're not moral victory people." This isn't a moral victory. It's we got our asses whooped by 49 points to Indiana, a basketball school. They're barely a basketball school now. And we
then had to go back on the road to the Horseshoe. Ohio State off of a bye week. And we lost
after losing to Oregon.
Yeah, and we lost by 4 points. I mean, I'm not about moral victories either, but I'll take it.
It ain't even a moral victory. It's a victory because we shored up things on defense. We made adjustments. Their second deep pass for the touchdown, we had Isaac Gifford on coverage. That's a problem. We didn't have a safety over the top on their best wide receiver. Yeah. That was a defensive breakdown somewhere. I don't think it was the coverage. I think it was a breakdown of the safety over the top. And so we didn't have the right coverage there. Right. The other touchdown, again, Hartzog got burned. And again, I don't know if that was man or if that was zone. It looked like zone, but we didn't play it right. And so you're going to get beat sometimes, but we stopped the run game. Judkins couldn't do anything on us. No. Ohio State fans are not happy about that, by the way.
Travion Henderson is a stud, and he couldn't do anything either.
Yeah, I mean, we stopped, and that's, again, going back to what Damon Benny said, do something right. Stop
Make them beat you deep.
Yes.
And, they did twice.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the difference in the game.
It was, but at the same time, I think we beat ourselves offensively. Dylan Riley missed a few passes deep. He's going to make freshman mistakes. Those are freshman mistakes. He's got guys wide open.
Banks would have had a touchdown.
Yep.
And then, was it Barney or was it Lloyd that would have had a touchdown in the back of the end zone?
Lloyd, yep.
Man,
yeah. So
you gotta get points when Hartzog gets a pick and takes it inside the 10. Oh. I said, he's got to score, and he didn't. And I was like, I could see us not getting any points here because we're close enough that we'll probably go for it on fourth, and then we don't reach out.
I feel like in Dowdell, he's covering the ball because he doesn't want to fumble. I get it,
right? And because he's had fumbles, but he's gotten benched for fumbling.
But what about
on fourth down? It was 4th and goal, though.
Where's Gabe Irvin, man? Why isn't he busting that? Gabe Irvin's bigger than Dowdell. I think he's a bigger wrecking ball. I also think what drives me nuts, you see it for those of you who watch NFL, you see it every week. You get down to the goal line, the 1-2 yard line, give me a damn bootleg and roll your tight end out, or you roll out. In that situation, they knew we were going up the middle. They knew. We bring Ty Robinson in, they know we're running up the middle. Fool them. Do a little bootleg,
Right.
and Raiola walks it in. You do a bootleg to the left, he walks it in. If he doesn't walk it in,
if somebody's there, then you've got an option.
he's got a tight end.
He's got a Fedoni right out
Or
there.
shovel pass. Like, do something. But they were all in. They had 11 in the box. They're going for the dive. They knew it was going to happen, and we didn't change what we were going to do.
Yeah.
So those kind of things drive me nuts because, again, as a fan on the outside looking in, that's where you win games is in the red zone, and we're not winning games. We're losing games in the red zone because we're not getting points.
Yeah.
We got false starts, Casey. 100%. Stop the false starts. Stop. We shoot ourselves in the foot when we get it. Again, the play calling, yes, we can talk about play calling all we want, but we lost 5 yards right away because we got to jump.
Yeah.
And man, what I will say is our pass blocking has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Our run blocking obviously needs to improve. Our pass blocking yesterday, all they talked about a big noon kickoff was Ohio State and their ability to pass rush, their ability to get to the quarterback. They didn't talk about Nebraska at all in the pregame.
The entire show.
All. The entire time. And I normally don't watch it. But it's driving me nuts. I'm like, yeah, Nebraska got beat by 49. But it doesn't mean they're not a good team. And that's what people forget is we still have guys that are good on the team. And we showed it yesterday. But we get no love, which is fine. Don't give us love. That's fine. But you better give us love for what we did against Ohio State. They didn't drop in the rankings at all. They're still number 4, which is fine. I don't care. But what we did yesterday is what no one else has been able to do. They've been scoring like 50-plus points a game, and we held them to 21.
We even held them less than Oregon did.
So I think that respect needs to be there for how we turned it around. Moral victory, you can call it whatever you want, but it was a victory.
Well, and not only that, but there's going to be teams that watch that film from yesterday that are going to end up beating Ohio State because they watch our film from yesterday.
Yeah.
Better team.
Dude.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like when they have to play in the college football playoff or whatever.
They ain't going to make the playoff.
Or they're going to lose to Indiana.
They're going to lose to Penn State and Indiana.
Yeah,
I think both those
even
teams
these
do.
next couple games, yeah, they're going to be watching film and saying, "What did Nebraska do? They stopped the run. We can do that. We're Penn State.
Yeah,
we can do that too."
Yeah, Indiana. Hey, we did it against Nebraska.
Yeah,
we stopped them on the pass and the run.
I wouldn't be surprised if they lost one of those two.
Yeah,
and you think they're going to lose both, but I think they'll lose one of those two.
And either way, if they lose, Indiana's 8-0 right now. They're number 13. They didn't move in the rankings. And we got, again, and we talked about this before the show, Notre Dame in the top 10. They lost to an unranked Northern Illinois,
who's not very good.
A&M beat LSU yesterday, and they did.
That's helping Notre Dame
pretty
because
easily.
A&M's only loss was to Notre Dame.
And I don't really, and I said Texas A&M
first-
should be ahead of Notre Dame
Yeah.
because right now they are a better team. They are a better team than Notre Dame. And yes, Notre Dame beat Navy yesterday. Everybody knew that was going to happen. Notre Dame is still Navy undefeated, great story, everything. But everyone knew Notre Dame was going to beat them. Navy didn't have a chance. We know what Navy does on offense. They didn't have a chance. They're easy to prepare for a team like Notre Dame to come out and win that game. That was a given. I mean, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it was a given.
I don't know. Is it next week that the college football playoff rankings come out?
Week 9. So
next Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday. So
I'll be curious to see because they sure love to keep their SEC teams in that lose 34-0.
Dude,
in the rankings.
Missouri's still in the top 25. Like, give me a break.
And
Right?
they only dropped 4 spots and they're still in the rankings. I know that there was a lot of teams, like the Navy was 21, they lost. There are teams that lost that fell out of the rankings.
Yeah.
But there's got to be somebody else that can be in there, right?
They're only in the top 25 because they started off at like number 9, 6 in the country or something. Like,
Yeah.
it was 6.
Missouri?
They're like 6 or 9. They were in the top 10. But either way, like,
They might have been in the teens, or maybe I know that they were around 9 at one point. I don't know if they started that high or not.
hey, shout out to our buddy Rex. I was texting him last night. I said, yo.
You saw him in the field?
Yeah, I said something about great to win. He just goes, shh. He didn't want me to talk about it. They were up by 2 scores. It was right after they scored, up by 2 scores at that point.
Right.
And it was a
He
16-point
said,
game.
good win for A&M, and I was like, dude, there's 4 minutes left.
But I barely watched any of that game.
It's a 15-point game.
But I figured the game was over, and sure enough, it was. And so he said, "I'm gonna take a video of storming the field." I didn't get anything. I'm gonna have to ask him if they did. They're I think season tickets are second tier, but I'll have to ask if he did that. Hey, great question. Where do we get the signs behind us? So,
Hey, who asked that?
Casey, great question.
Nice.
So we have our Herbie over here, and we have the Husker one over here. This is Cornbread Custom Signs. So Cornbread Custom
They made
Signs.
those for us last year or the year before?
Yeah, 1 or 2 years ago. And we did a giveaway
They're
on the
sweet.
show. We got 2 signs that we did a giveaway for.
I think it was 2 years ago.
Yep.
Now that I think
Yeah,
about it.
and
So we gave them away. You missed out. Sorry, brother.
We thought we'd change the scenery a little bit. The one right behind us here is Joe Martinez, a buddy of Brian's that he works with. Joe started doing some woodworking, like 4 or 5 months ago. And now he's making all sorts of woodworking for all these different people too. So if you're interested in any of these custom wood signs, Cornbread Custom Signs already has a ton of these Husker ones made. They are licensed by the University of Nebraska as well. So you'll get a little, there's a sticker on the back that says it's licensed. So official Husker merchandise. So if you're interested in a wood sign, feel free to reach out to us. And I'll same thing with Joe. If you're interested in a custom sign from Joe, feel free to reach out to us. We've shared their stuff before. We'll continue to share their stuff. But they do some great work. I mean, these signs are amazing.
I don't think
they're heavy.
I don't think you can get this one. I think this one is.
Yeah, that's the last one because they have to do number one.
They won't do it. They have to do that. Yeah.
Because apparently this is like a white nationalist sign now.
Which is, I mean, it's the freaking Husker logo.
I don't know. I don't get it.
So you won't be able to get one quite like that.
Yeah, see, I have the number one on my
You'll be able to
shirt.
get it like that. So
I got the number one on my shirt too. So with Herbie, I think I have one with the 02. But you can't find that anymore. But you can get the one with the number one.
Yeah, they're really cool. The ones we gave away were really cool too.
Yeah. So
it was hard to pick which ones we wanted.
But definitely reach out to us if you're interested. Great show today. Kyron, again, appreciate him joining us, giving us his perspective. Again, we didn't talk about the show or about the game as much because we had him on. But again, I think yesterday, again, moral victory, yada, yada, yada. We did a fantastic job of playing Ohio State. Not coming out like we did against Indiana. That's a win in my book because we didn't lose like everyone thought we would lose. We didn't lose by 4 or 5 touchdowns.
It was the first time finally that they kind of did play with a little bit more passion like they did in the Colorado game.
Yeah.
We've been waiting to see it again. They need to continue doing it because, UCLA started the season off not very good. They've turned it around a little bit. They're playing a little better ball. I think Nebraska still wins the game, but we're going to have to – I hope they're not like getting the pat on the back like, oh, good job against Ohio State. You guys didn't get blown out. And start feeling pretty good. They need to start preparing for UCLA.
We got a 2:30 game on Saturday. We got UCLA. We're going to get win number 6. We're going to get win number 6. And when we do that, Jimmy and I are stone cold Steve Austin, pounding beers. We're going to make a mess. It's going to happen. We're going to give TJ a warning at Backswing Brewing show next week. Is that Backswing Brewing?
Are we going to do it with Backswing?
No, well, maybe we do it. Maybe do it with.
If Mike wants to come up from Texas and do a golden
5.2, maybe 5.2, Mike, we'll figure it out. Either way, we got to do it. We talked about it last year. We didn't get it. So Casey, you definitely thought that you're like, I don't even know if I'm gonna watch the game. You didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. But yeah, no one saw us kicking 3 field goals.
Not a 54-yarder either.
Not only that, but our kick coverage was fantastic.
Right.
On the punts and the kick.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the kicking. I couldn't believe it. We lined up for a field goal, and I'm like, this is 39 yards. The only one he's made all year was 21.
Shocked.
And it looked like he just kind of went through the motions and just bloop.
He looked
for kick, and it was like, okay, that looked like we knew what we were doing.
He kicked a 54-yarder
and
after the refs screwed us twice.
They did. We didn't even talk about that.
Man, after they screwed us twice and we get a 54-yard field goal. I mean, how good did that feel?
It felt so good because, for one, we haven't really made any field goals all season.
Yeah.
But that made it a one-possession game at half.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, we are still in this game.
It didn't just feel good for us as fans. Talk about John Holt and how good that had to feel for him. You talk about pressure, social media, fans, again, harping on special teams. They hear that. They see that 100%, no matter how you try to get rid of it. And to go out there and say, I'm knocking out a 54-yard field goal. I'm knocking out a 39-yard and a 47-yard.
Yeah, that's wild. Maybe it was less pressure on the road than at home. Because at home, then you're in front of all your fans.
Well, and Ohio State doesn't have a good special teams either. They had a missed field goal.
Oh, and it wasn't a missed field goal. It was
close.
A shank. I got him. I told you I got him.
It's like he kicked off the toe of the foot and just whoop.
That's my go-to. I do that every time. and I got him.
Yeah, so in case you held your breath on the extra point. Yeah, talk about a 54-yard field goal. We're holding our breath on the extra point, and then we kick a 54-yard field goal. Like, unbelievable, like just wild stuff. Like, that was a huge improvement from not only last week, but the entire weeks prior. To go out and kick 3 field goals, Buschini had 1 bad punt.
He was backed up,
but I think that's when
did we get a penalty before that? Did we get a delay game
Yeah.
before that? And
but it did.
things were just out of whack.
I think that's when they missed the field goal too. So it didn't
Yeah.
really hurt us. But like,
Right.
other than that, he had a great game. 40.8 yards. You take that 1 bad punt away, and 6 punts. Take that 1 bad punt away, he's 50+ yards easy.
Yeah.
So I think again we're seeing good things in our special teams.
I don't want to end the show on a negative. So I mean, I'll make a quick mention, and then we can go back to more positive things. But we got to start scoring more than 1 touchdown in a game.
Yes.
And scoring in one half or the other. That's just it. But other than that, a lot of positives to take forward going forward. We need to score a bunch of points by halftime against UCLA. I think we got to get 28 points by half. Establish a ground game.
Yeah.
Maybe break off a few long runs. Score some points. Get a lead. Get a big lead.
Agree. I think being at home is going to help us.
Yeah.
Um,
After being on the
yeah.
bye week and then on the road for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think that game yesterday gives us confidence going into this next game. I feel like that's got to be a big confidence booster, not just from special teams, but how much does special teams boost the rest of the offense to say, shoot, like we didn't do what we needed to do, but you covered our ass.
Right.
We're going to come out, we're going to do better next game, so you don't have to worry about making a 54-yard field goal.
Right.
That's on us.
Well,
We're going to do
and
better.
it takes a little bit more pressure, or a little bit of pressure off of the offense. Like, we don't have to go forward on 4th down every single time we're on inside the 40. Like, we can, if it's 3rd and 10, we can maybe get 5 yards and kick a field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 5.
Yeah.
So,
but it's kind of crazy.
Or we could take a shot because we know that our kicker can kick from here instead
Yes.
of having to try to get 5 yards on 3rd down, 5 yards on 4th down.
I do like that we tried a couple shots downfield on 1st down yesterday. So I do like that. Again, Dylan's got to hit those wide open receivers. He's got some work to do. And he's a freshman. He's going to make those mistakes. He's going to. And he's going to learn from them. One thing that, and I think, Casey, you might have mentioned it, is he tries to be too perfect. And we've talked about this before. He tries to be too perfect, just unload, man. There was a pass to Banks when Banks was coming back to the ball. And you could tell, even on the replay, full speed and slow-mo, he's not throwing it in there hard. He's trying to make sure it's a perfect pass. He doesn't want to make a mistake. I'd rather him zip the ball in there and Banks not catch it because it's Banks' fault rather than Raiola not having confidence to throw the ball hard. We know he's got a cannon.
Yeah.
Throw it hard, dude. Zip it in there. Banks is going to catch that ball. Throw it hard. Because he hit him in the chest. But by the time it got to Banks, the safety's on. Safety knocks it away.
Yeah.
So he hit him. He threw it perfect, but he threw it too slow. Zip it in there, man. He's got it. I was happy with yesterday. I was happy that we didn't that it kept it a close game. Came down to our final possession, which again, if Raiola gets that ball up over the top, I don't know if it was a route he thought he was going to come inside. Either way, we had an opportunity to win the game against number 14 in the country. And after we did against Indiana, who's now 8-0, to me, that yesterday was a victory. We did a lot of good things. We did a lot of things that we didn't do against Indiana really well. I think we looked like the better team 99% of the game.
Yeah.
We looked better than Ohio State 99% of the game, in my opinion.
Well, and how many times have we had a blowout loss and followed it up with another blowout loss?
Yeah.
When you play, decent teams back to back.
Yeah.
Honestly, I saw the last 2 games, I kind of saw them flip-flopped. Like, I thought the Indiana game might, I said I thought we'd win 28-24.
Yeah.
But I thought a 4-point game.
Closer, yeah.
And then a blowout would be this week.
Yep.
It kind of sucks that we did get blown out as bad as we did, but it almost feels better that against potentially a better opponent, more highly ranked opponent, we were that close. So
we came back, we fought hard.
and that too.
The
Coming
team
back
played
off.
well. They stopped the run. They won on more than one facet of the game. They won. And they won on special teams. They won on the rush defense. And those 2 things you cannot take away from this team. And that's going to only give them confidence going into UCLA, USC, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Those are things we cannot take for granted as fans. We have to look at the positive side of things, although we see a lot of negatives still on the offense. Play calling 100%. We're not a fan of Satterfield either. I don't think he's going to be fired midseason. I really don't. But I hope we get some play calling from Glenn Thomas. Maybe he has a little more insight coming in the rest of the season. I don't know. But let's continue to win certain facets of the game. If we start to do that again, take those baby steps, win here, win there, win here, win there. Eventually, those 4 quarters come together. We win games, and we win them well.
For sure.
Yeah, penalty. Yeah, we won on penalties too. The amount of penalties, yes, we do. We have more penalties. we always win that battle. But anyways, I don't got anything else. I have no more beer either, so I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy. I saved the drop. So.
We're 2 average guys. Appreciate y'all joining us today. Thanks again to Kyron Williams for joining us. Thanks again to Backstreet Brewing for the beer. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy some NFL. Enjoy whatever you got going on today. So thanks everyone for joining.
We'll see you next week.
Go Big Red.
Come on, good game, everybody, yeah.
Pat, I think it's safe to say that all these fans came out here to watch a game of football.
John, we're in commercial.
Yeah, I know. I'm just making conversation. Come on, football!
Come a-running, boys, don't you hear the noise? Like the thunder in the sky. How it rolls along in a good old song from the sons of Nebraska. Now it's coming near with a rising cheer that'll sweep all foes away. So with all our vim, we're about to win, and we're going to win today. In the days of old,